Stop feeling sorry for yourself. No one else does. Let me be blunt. Sympathy feels good in the moment. It wraps you in this warm blanket that tells you it's okay to stay stuck where you are. But here's the thing, nobody stays around forever to pat you on the back while you wallow. Sympathy's fleeting. Self pity is poison. It robs you of your power, your perspective, and ultimately your potential to move forward in your life. Hey, all, thanks for joining the Bulletproof Mindset podcast, where we're going to discuss our biggest flops, our darkest skeletons, and the ways in which we can use those experiences to create a bulletproof life. So, wherever you are, however you may be tuning in, thank you for making us part of your day. I'm Thomas. I'm a certified high performance coach. I'm a former actor, a current writer, and a twice divorced dad of daughters, just learning every single day how to love this life better. Today, we're diving into something that hits home for me, and I think it does for many of you. So let's break it down and explore how we can move forward together, okay? Again, stop feeling sorry for yourself because nobody else does. Here's some context to this. When life falls apart, whether you've gone through a divorce, you lost your job, or you've experienced death in your family, it's natural to feel bad. It's okay. Give yourself permission to feel bad. That's part of the process. You should grieve. You should reflect. Give yourself space to process that pain. But staying there, staying stuck in that place, that's where the problem begins. Self-pity has a way of whispering lies to you, saying it's okay to stay here. You deserve pity. People should give it to you more. But outside the world, everyone around you, outside of your own psychosis, this is, listen, that's going to keep turning. People are going to move on. Life's going to continue. The time does not stop. The clock keeps ticking. Bills keep coming. Responsibilities pile up. The people around you are eventually going to move on, even if you don't. In her book, Self-Compassion, Dr. Kristen Neff has something pretty powerful to say about this. Self-compassion is not self-pity. It's about acknowledging the pain, but choosing growth over stagnation. So let me ask you this. What happens in the wake of your challenge or your disaster? What happens if you don't fix this? What happens if you stay stuck in this cycle of feeling sorry for yourself? Well, among other things, you're going to stay trapped in a victim mindset, okay? Powerless to make meaningful change in your life. When you're in a victim mindset, you're always going to be looking at this situation as something that happened to you. This happened to me. Okay? My dad left me. My spouse cheated on me. My mom died on me. Anytime you have that perspective, and yes, that perspective is a natural part of the grieving process, but if that's where you stay and that's where you focus your attention, you're always going to be powerless to make a meaningful change in your life. Another thing, your relationships are going to suffer because of that. Nobody wants to be around somebody who's constantly stuck in the past, constantly in that mode of, this happened to me and woe is me. And, and I'm not making fun. Okay. I've lost somebody to cancer. I've been divorced twice. I know what it's like to experience those kind of loss, but I also know what it's like to sit in the muck of a relationship that didn't go away that I am now abusing in my pity because I can't let it go. Nobody wants to be around that person. Next, you're going to miss opportunities, whether in your work, in love, potential new love, or romance or a relationship or just personal growth. These things are going to pass you by because you're too busy replaying the same story over and over again. And maybe one of the scariest things that will happen if you don't fix this, you're going to teach your kids, your family, your friends, those you work with, that it's okay to give up and stay in this shithole. That's the scariest part. The times when I see and observe my children, my daughters adopting a mannerism that I know they got from me, and it slaps me in the face when they're approaching and facing a fear or approaching a circumstance from this perspective, this fixed mindset of I'm the victim. They learned that. They didn't just inherit it. That's the scariest part. Martin Seligman, a leading psychologist in this area, studying his research has given me a big perspective and slapped me silly several times with some of the helplessness feelings that I have when trying to navigate my own victim complex. He found in his research that when people repeatedly feel powerless, they stop trying. And man, does that apply to me. I understand what that's like. And I know I believe that if you're listening, you probably have too, at least one time in your life. Even when opportunities change, are opportunities to change are right in front of people, we just we'd rather sit on the couch and just watch, get lost into a movie or binge watching a TV show. We'd rather just ignore the problem because we don't see the opportunity. We see it as something that's just out of reach for me. I want to take you back to one of the hardest days in my life. February 14, 2011. Yep. Valentine's Day for all of you lovebirds out there that love Valentine's Day. Most men don't. Most women are, I'm not even gonna go there because I'm not sure I understand the psychosis of, the honoring and reverence of that day, why that particular day is so much more important to get things right. Anyway, we're not going down there, but this particular Valentine's Day, one of the hardest days of my life. I sat in a courtroom post-divorce, post-custody battle. This was the end result of that multi-year custody battle for my 6-year-old daughter with my ex. And she had made a motion, and this motion had lasted quite a while, more than 18 months, back and forth. But this motion was to move out of state. When we go through something like a divorce or lost job or something like that, it is natural for us to want to get away, get out of the environment where every time I turn around, I see a skeleton in that closet, or I'm reminded of my failure or whatever. So I understand it's natural. But when there's a child involved, it gets really complicated. And, my ex-wife had asked the court for permission to move out of state and take our daughter with her. And this was one of the hardest days of my life because the judge bought in. On that day, uh, it was a Tuesday. The judge awarded her primary custody and the permission to move out of state, 600 miles away. I'll never forget sitting in that courtroom. I'll never forget what the room smelled like. The silence that you could literally hear a pin drop. Hearing those words that I most dreaded. This move is in the best interest of the child. And in that moment, I felt like a complete failure. I'd already failed as a husband, divorced. As a father and a man is where I was feeling that low point in my life. Now I wanted to crawl under that bench and disappear. And the worst part is I couldn't shake that voice in my head saying, "This is your fault. You don't deserve any better than this." And for days, I wallowed. I looked at this whole situation as something outside of my control that happened to me. I was the victim. I'd lost. Someone had taken. I'd lost at that point in my life. The most treasured thing in my life was my relationship with my daughter. I was not a weekend dad. I know we'd been divorced for more than 2 years at this point, but I was not a weekend dad. I was an everyday dad. Yeah, I had every other weekend, but I was part of her life every morning for several hours. And that's, it had always been that way. But I wallowed. That's what has been taken away from me. The judge did this to me. My ex did that to me. And I replayed every mistake I'd ever made, every argument I'd ever lost, every moment I'd ever felt like I wasn't enough. In the days after this happened, and I still get a little bit emotional when I talk about this because it was a pretty low day. But in the days after this happened, something shifted. It hit me. My self pity wasn't helping my daughter. She didn't need a dad who was stuck in his past, in his failure, and wallowing in the pity that everyone around him surely felt too. She needed a dad who's going to show up, who would fight every second for just one more minute that they could have together, no matter how far apart they lived, no matter how many miles had to be traversed to get to each other. That's the dad she needed now. Now it was going to be harder. It wasn't just a drive across town. It was a drive a third of the way across the country. That shift, that decision to stop feeling sorry for myself. No, it was not easy to implement that and discipline myself around that shift. No, but it changed everything for me. It gave me purpose, a purpose that I hadn't really felt before. It hadn't been clear to me before. And that purpose developed into a plan. In that moment, I decided I'd show up. I was going to facilitate time with my daughter. I was not going to miss a single opportunity granted me to be in her life, be part of her life, and keep her part of mine. And it showed my daughter over time that her dad was still in the fight. Hey, it's Thomas. And if this episode resonates with you, I want to make sure you know about our free community, Becoming Bulletproof. It's a free community built for people just like you, people that feel stuck in the shadow of past failure or struggling just to move forward after setbacks and challenges in life. Maybe you've struggled to find a place where you can finally reclaim your identity or rebuild the confidence you've lost or find that resilience to thrive. This isn't just a community group. This is meant to be a movement, a transformative space where men and women can redefine who they are and break free from those limiting beliefs and develop habits and skills necessary to create the life they love. In Becoming Bulletproof, you're going to discover how to turn pain into power and setbacks into stepping stones. You'll find tools to build emotional resilience and clarity and confidence, even practical strategies for setting boundaries and mastering time management. I mean, who doesn't need that? Forming habits that fuel long-term growth? Bring it. Most importantly, you're going to find a community that's got your back. Every step of the way, we're going to share stories and celebrate wins together, hold each other up when we need that support to move forward. So, if you're ready to stop letting your past define who you are today and start living that creation of a future you deserve, well, this is your moment. This is your step. Join Becoming Bulletproof today. It's free and it's waiting for you. So go to becomingbulletproof.info right now and sign up for that free community. Let's do this. Together we can become bulletproof. Join today. So today I'm going to outline with you 3 points of how to stop feeling sorry for yourself, how to make that shift in your life, wherever you are, whatever you're dealing with. And it may be divorce, it may be custody, it may be death, it may be lost job, lost relationships. Wherever you are, this will apply to you if you are in a point where you are struggling a little bit with this victim complex. Point number 1, self-pity steals your power. It feels safe. Self-pity feels safe, but it's like a thief. It robs you of the energy that you need to rebuild, to move, to change, to grow. Again, Kristen Neff in her book, she says compassion isn't self-indulgence, it's strength. Sometimes we look at people that are compassionate and we view them and we judge them as weaklings, meek, soft, introverts. But compassion is actually a superpower, because when you practice compassion, it changes the dynamics of every conversation that you're ever going to have. I want you to think about this small business owner during the pandemic a few years ago. And this owner pivoted to more of an online sales model because of what was going on and because they lost so much business. The person who did this, and we saw a whole lot of these people going to a more of an online model, online marketing, online sales, and that's really where we are, and I don't think it'll ever be the same. And we've seen stores close because their in-person retail is not the blueprint for business anymore. The ones that have survived are the ones who pivoted, the ones who recognized, okay, here's the challenge. I can sit here and just ignore the problem until it goes away, or I can recognize the shift and what the shift requires of me in order to keep up. They didn't dwell on the loss. They focused their attention on what was next. You know the difference between a loser and a winner? The difference between someone who fails or succeeds? It's only one thing, and that one thing is so small. There is so small a margin between those two groups of people. The person who succeeds, the person who won, it's not that they didn't fail. It's not that they didn't fall down. It's not that they didn't lose. It's that those people in that moment got up one more time than their opponent did. The person that fails, the person that doesn't succeed, that loses, is really the person that decides in the moment of loss, I'm not going to try again. I'm not going to get back up. That's all that separates the winners and losers, the successful and the failures. We shouldn't dwell on the loss. We should be focused on what the loss opens up for us as far as what's next. Point number 2. Growth begins where comfort ends. Growth doesn't just happen in a warm bubble of comfort. It happens when you stretch yourself, when you push, when you strain. Take working out. You're never going to grow your muscles if you stay in the same place every single time and never up your weight, never up your reps, never stretch yourself. Carol Dweck, in her book Mindset, has this to say: you can't grow if you're not willing to fail. This goes back to point 1 a lot, because if we aren't willing to step out, take that risk ever again, we're never going to know what it's like to be successful, because we're not willing to try. We are too comfortable. It's the only thing that's going, it's the only thing that's going to be confident and comfortable in a decision that you don't know the outcome absolutely. The only comfortable choice is to not step forward. Stay where you are. That's the only comfortable choice. Maybe you're thinking about investing in yourself, investing in your business, in your skill set, investing in coaching, investing in developing skills that can make you bulletproof. Whatever that investment opportunity is, take it. You're never going to know what's possible if you don't take that step. You're only going to be comfortable by not taking that action. After my second divorce, I was terrified of rebuilding my family. My identity was broken. I was now twice divorced. I had a daughter from both marriages. So I had two daughters. I was now a single dad. That was discomfort for me. Stepping into that discomfort is what led me to the life I live today. I've finally found a partner that I get that gets me, that's my match. We are both divorce survivors, but I finally found that partner in Kelly that matches me, complements me. No, we don't complete each other, but we don't have to. We're individual professionals, each of us striving for growth and excellence in our life, and we just love working that way together. I have a family that I love. Yep, 3 more daughters to the mix. Kelly has 3 daughters, I have 2. We have 5 girls between us. And that keeps me young and makes me old at the same time. But being a dad of daughters, especially in the time in this world where we are, you better believe that it has fine-tuned my worldview and my perspective, raising these young women to be women of power and influence and perspective, sticking true to their moral compass in a world that's going to do anything but let them try. And I found the career that I love, a career where I can share my story, a career that I can help other people develop skills and habits that will help them be successful, reaching that level of abundance in their life, the life you deserve. It all comes through the failure of our lives, the times we've fallen down. That's where the secret to becoming bulletproof lies. Point number 3, ownership of your situation is your superpower. Let me restate that again. Ownership of your situation is your superpower. Owning your story, the good, the bad, and especially the ugly. That's how you reclaim the power in your life to move forward and grow and become the person you want to be. Jack Wilnick, in his book, Extreme Ownership, says that you are responsible for everything in your world, meaning everything in your sphere of influence, everything in reach of who you are. You're responsible for those things. Taking ownership of your experience, even the parts you'd rather forget and hope nobody else remembers, that's where the growth happens. When you're working out, and I've gotten into lifting weights now every day, and I've been doing this for a little over a year. But what I've learned is the majority of the growth, the muscle growth, doesn't happen in the push or the pull. It happens in the stretch between and the rest between. The majority of your growth isn't going to happen when you strain at the oars of that boat you're trying to push forward. It's going to happen in the reflection. It's going to happen when you evaluate. It's going to happen when you stop judging yourself for what you failed at and start asking yourself, okay, what about that didn't work for me? And how can I change it to be better the next time? It's adopting just simple, keep it simple, stupid tactics of focusing on things like gratitude, not as a state of being, but as a skill that you develop, a talent, something you're really good at. I want to thank you guys for listening today. And I want to ask you to please subscribe to the Bulletproof Mindset here on our podcast, where you're viewing from, but also you can find us on YouTube and Instagram at Becoming Bulletproof. Please help us grow those channels, and just at the same time learning insights and stories and strategies to help you reclaim the life you deserve and becoming bulletproof yourself. So thanks for tuning in. If you found value in this episode, even in one part, I ask you to share it with somebody in your life that you feel like may need a little extra motivation to take that step today. Remember, building a bulletproof mindset isn't about never failing. It's about rising up afterward. So until next time, keep moving forward, keep learning that next step, get out of your self-pity, stop feeling sorry for yourself, and together we're becoming bulletproof. Have a great day, everybody.